Eclipse season going on. What up, what up, what up? It's your boy Dave B. You're watching DaveBeyondTV, where we go beyond the everyday bullshit that people be consuming on a day-to-day basis. Cause we gotta get out of that shit, man. We gotta get out of that shit. And I wanted to come on real quick. I don't really have a specific topic in mind, but just for the sake of just, you know, expressing what's on my heart, and basically just saying, like this be the shit that we be talking about. Subconscious community, soul group, and shit like that. This is what we be talking about all the time when we talk about shifts going on, and energetic shifts, and things that you need to be able to be aware of so that you can make decisions that are, because right now we are in the time in which we make decisions that are going to reverberate for X amount of years ahead of us. And a lot of times people don't peep that. A lot of times, and it's so easy to be blinded and concerned with your desires or with what you think to be truth. A lot of people take the sensationalism of what's been put on online, because see now, people are basically getting pumped with information 24/7. You wake up, you hop on Twitter, you're looking at 10 million words talking about, a thousand different stories about shit that you're starting to develop an opinion. Like you're ingesting a bunch of opinions before you even formulate your first thought. That's your own. You know what I'm saying? You wake up in the morning, first thing you do is you hopping on the phone, and if you don't have, like, look, I'm not saying that because a lot of people will try to preach about how you should live life, and you got to wake up and you got to do 3 jumping jacks and meditate and turn around and do the say they people give you, people want to say, you're supposed to wake up and not touch your phone and all that, and like some of that, there's truth to that, but the truth is, it's like, it's not about so much trying to treat yourself like a child. It's trying to, you have to just be an adult about your mind. And like I was saying before, it's like you are the adult as far as the spirit. So you have to be strong enough mentally to know what to block out, because your mind is simply a child. Your mind is going to cling on to what it's paying attention to. It's going to throw tantrums. It's going to get emotional. It's going to get involved inside of whatever it is without any real cognizance of the bigger picture. Like a child. A child doesn't understand that, hey, when I turn the TV off tonight, it don't mean that the TV's off forever. Or, a child doesn't understand that, it's okay to take a break from something and then it can continue tomorrow. Like, a child is not aware of that, and your mind isn't aware of that either. Your mind, when it's going through pain, it can't see anything outside of the pain. If your mind is happy, it can't see anything outside of happiness. Like, it can create worries and concerns, but see, that's forethought, getting out of your 1, 2, and 3. Your first dimensional body, or the first dimension, basically. And my bad, because I be getting on my own nerves when I'm talking real fast and I see spit fly out. That shit annoying to me. So I know somebody out there watching like, what the fuck? But you know what I'm saying? Anyway, don't pay attention to that. Hear the knowledge. Anyway, first dimension is talking about, you as a, your individual, your it's almost like selfish energy, right? But selfish not always in a negative term, but just anything referring to self and being singular. Second, number 2 is about relations, so things that you're in relation with. And then 3 becomes the third person, the surrounding itself. But you could also equate this, so you could equate the 1 to, your first awareness, to thought in a lot of ways. The 2 to what you relate to, but this is almost like reactions, so things you react to as well. Your emotional body, right? Your first emotional body. You're in relation to things, right? Your emotional body, because see, what happens is 1, 2, and 3 happens, right? And that's more of like a general sense. But then 4, 5, and 6, when you get to 4, 5, and 6, this is when you start to get into individuality. This is where you really start to get into life. See, 1, 2, and 3 is really death. Because at 1, 2, and 3, it's almost like you're assuming the role of the general public. if that makes sense. I know that's like a little confusing, but what I mean is like the 4, 5, and 6. This is when you get into your individuality. So you start the 1, 2, and 3 all over, but it's referring to you as a spirit, like as far as you creating your individual thought, your individual feeling, and then what those two things combine to create at the 6 becomes your attention and also your energy signature in a lot of ways. So this becomes your ability to shine, your ability to stand out, right? 7, 8, and 9 is basically like your, if you want to go there, your higher self-awareness. So 7 be your, kind of like a message. This is why like 7 is considered an angelic number, because it creates a higher angle for things. And that's all really an angel is. It's a higher angle. Demon is nothing less than a lower angle. So, before you get lost in what is what, and it's only an angle because and this is why it creates the energy. Number 7 creates the energy of being like a messenger. And so, us going through a year 7, I know somebody was asking about how I came to that, but that if just the year 2023. So when you do the numerology and you put those numbers together, and then you do the gematria and you come to that singular number, numerology is the condensing of the number. So taking that, or the 2 plus 2 plus 3, adding those all together, you know what I'm saying? But then once you get that number, that 7, then the gematria is the energy behind it. What does that energy actually mean? And then so that energy itself, if you look at what a 7 looks like, it's a higher angle, right? And it's also noted to be the messenger, or even angels. When you look at what an angel is a messenger. And this is why even like when we talk about different, a lot of us and stuff like that, we be saying certain things. Like I know I've said in a lot of my music, like, oh yeah, like an angel, moving like an angel type things. It's just like having a higher angle at how to do stuff, but also being the role of the messenger, having something that you could also make other individuals aware of. And this is where you get back into the 1, 2, and 3, just on that higher octave. 7 being a higher octave of the 1. It's a message for the individuals, but a message that can be spread, and it's going to be unique to everybody. Even if it's broadcast to many people and it's the same message, everybody's going to receive it in their own individuality. And that's kind of how an angel plays out, because an angel could come and say the same message, but everybody's going to pick it up differently. Just like how, I can make this video, and there's, for every person watching, there's, that many different awarenesses or perspectives on what I'm saying, even if I'm saying the same message, so it's like singular, but it's more expansive, and that's the whole concept of the 4 being an oversoul. If you look at 4, I like to look at number 4. The best way I like to, kind of look at it as far as allegory wise is looking at the 4 like a brand. So when you look at a brand, it's like everyone who fucks with that brand. Or you could also look at it like a brand is good. A brand is good. Like think of everybody in the world who just wears Nike, whether they prefer it or not, they gravitated towards it. That whole group is like 4. You know what I'm saying? Or everybody in the world who because if you think about it, right, there's many different people who can probably make pizza, right? But there's Papa John's, there's Domino's, and there's Pizza Hut. So 4 energy is like picking one. When you create, and it's really the entity itself, because it separated itself from everyone else making pizza, and it became a brand known for certain things. It created its individual idea of how pizza should be made. So this is like the 4 energy, if that makes sense. So, and then when you get into 5, it's the emotional, the independent feeling. And when you get into 8, it's spending a lot of time in something. And anything we spend time in, we develop a deep emotional understanding or connection to whatever it is that we've experienced. And then 9 becomes the information or the knowledge or the wisdom, where we can now teach others about it, but also our time to go. It's when we need to basically, like an elder, who's too old to really do things in the world themselves. They need to give it to the next in line so that they can flourish. And the better they're able to, be that guiding force or be that teacher for whoever's next, that individual who's next will take care of the 9 in old age, in to keep the cycle going, right? And I'm speaking more so, I'm just going on, adding to the analogy. If you want to understand, like, even your life path number, as far as where you're at, And it's not about so much wanting to get to the end. It's not about being at a certain number, like, oh, I'm a life path 5, I gotta live this many, next time I gotta be 9. I used to think like that, you know what I'm saying? Like way back when I first got, before I even knew really what the meaning of the numbers was, and I was still trying to put things together. I was just like, those be the first understandings of the numbers. You'd be like, oh damn, I'm this life path, I thought I was supposed to be this one. Especially if you feel like you a certain way, like you like, oh damn, I thought it was this number. Whole time I like to look at numerology or your life path number as understanding just your approach to life in this current, and your role within the greater scheme of things. Because and that's another thing we got to understand, everybody plays a role. And that's real big for Pluto and Aquarius, and understanding what Uranus and Taurus has been teaching us. Because that's what I was getting at earlier on, is that these outer planets, as they move, these are multi-year transits that are basically an undertone. It was 2019 when Uranus got into Taurus, and right now, 4 years in, you can clearly, now you should be able to look at what that energy represents in your life. And see, a lot of people just aren't aware of it. This is why astrology is a great tool, because it just helps you keep in perspective where you should be participating in, and what things are going on within your body. Because that's what astrology is really about, within your body, but not so physically. I mean spiritually, your spiritual body. And like how, even if you want to get into chakras and stuff like that, certain, because we go through different phases in our own life. And again, it happens so slick, the common person don't even realize, like, we're going through a shift right now. Things are shifting, and how you make your decision is solely based upon the spiritual work, the shadow work you've done on your own time. And here's the thing. So right now, even with Uranus and Taurus, right? So this transit, and why I say it's important, and how all these things, different things correlate, is because, see, it being the 2023, a year 7, you are either going to play out energies of going towards your higher self or your lower self. Don't be so concerned on higher and lower, whether it's about, because it's not about trying to be a good person and trying to be a bad, or thinking you're a bad person, right? You know what I'm saying? And it's not about, trying to, it's not about that at all. When I say higher self or higher frequency, vibing high, again, this is you just having more energy, because not everybody is meant to be the person to bring the positivity. Some people are actually here to be in the vibration of being a lot more skeptical, and their energy is not about trying to be the most positive in the room. They can still be happy, but they're not a generally positive person, and that's okay. A person, because that's the thing, it gets so deep with individuals and human beings, like that. Everybody's multifaceted, many different faces. It's just, the better you can know yourself is the better that you can utilize the right face for the right reasons, the right intentions. And this is what actually helps you along your path, as far as manifesting situations that you truly deserve to be in. And when you manifest what you deserve, and it's something you're supposed to be in, like it correlate with your vibe, even if you're going through a hard time, there's lessons in every struggle that we experience. The only time it goes haywire is when you are manifesting situations that aren't truly for you, based upon you not being yourself, aka you portraying yourself in a certain way, but that's not truly you. And it, like, just for the sake of an analogy, you are a poet at heart, but you portray yourself like a gangster. So what happens? You manifest gangster situations that take you away from who you truly are. This is when people are living in hell. This is when people are going through the most devastating shit in their life. But when you align yourself and you be true to yourself, you a poet. Even if you in a gangster environment, you true to yourself, you'll manifest poet situations. Even if you grew up in South Central, in Compton, in some of these harsh hoods in Chicago, and wherever the violence and gangster activity is going on, you will be the one individual who, because you're true to yourself, will either make it out, or again, even if you end up getting transformed at that time, it was just meant for you to be in a different body next time. But you being true to yourself is you dying in your right mind. And shout out to Free, because she made I think it was a tweet or something like that, You know what I'm saying? And then also, and if you haven't checked out Free Yourself, go ahead and give her a subscribe, because you know she be kicking that game. She be kicking that game for real, that knowledge. But for the most part, we was even, you know, me and her was chopping it up the other night, and we was talking about, you know, also getting back to the new age trap video I was making, and getting into, you know, that part, because if you look in the comments, she pointed out a certain time stamp, and in that video, I feel like I mean, I still got to come with a part 3. I don't think this is what this is. It might end up being. I might label it that. I don't know yet, but that particular part that she had pointed out, it was like talking about just, you know, the nature of these news channels and where we are at right now as far as society, and the tools that they use to manipulate y'all minds. Because the whole thing is it's all distractions. You know, they give you stories, they give you sensations and drama, because the human mind, right, without awareness of anything outside of, again, child, when child's watching TV, the child has no concept of the show, it being a show. You know what I'm saying? When a child is watching a TV show, they have no concept to differentiate the fact that this is a show. You know what I'm saying? You as an adult can look at a TV program and go, oh, okay, that's an actor. That's not really who that is. They're playing a role, and this is the theme of the show. And, you know, the show is trying to teach these themes, and it's using these different images to portray that message. Like, why don't folks, like, people don't be aware that that's the same shit they doing to you with the news? Oh, this is a show. That person probably really even isn't like that. You know, they're playing a role to portray a message, and that message is whatever is supporting the idea that they want to push out. And people are so caught up in the drama, in the story, in the, and it, you know, and it's unfortunate because a lot of these stories are tragic. You know, we talk about the school shooting. That's traumatic. So it's easy to be like, oh, I feel for these people, you know. And then again, I'm saying this, and I'm not you know, saying this in a way of being like not you know, not emotionally you know, because it's fucked up. You know, that like it is fucked up, but that should fuel your passion to catch it and try, and again, we are here to change the world, because that like, so that whatever emotional response, take yourself out of that emotion for a second, just to see the bigger picture, because that's part of what being an adult is anyway, and parenting and things of that nature. It's like you have to be aware of yourself, and it's like you're not a robot, so you're gonna have feelings, you're gonna have reactions, but you as the parent have to know where you're at. You know what I'm saying? To just explode on your child and stuff like that, you know the ramifications of that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm saying that because I'm just saying for the point of being able to point out your feelings and still be able to choose the more appropriate, mature decision. So what I mean is, you're watching the news, you see, oh, a school shooting. The first thing in your mind, of course, is the parents, the children. What if you and your family was in that situation? You already caught up in the emotional wave. So now everything you hearing is coming from that space of being concerned with the story itself, but you're not listening to the theme. And it's fucked up how they do it, but you have to be able to catch the actual theme behind, the message behind what's actually trying to be manipulated. Because that's the number one way anybody can manipulate you, is through emotions, making you feel this way, not, you know what I'm saying, making you feel a certain way. So you got to see where the manipulation lies. And this is where, again, all of this shit come from, because you watch the news all day. What energy vibration are you going to be in? Fear. And what do we know about just the universe and how this shit work? Your state of being determines what you manifest. Well, I'll slow it down. Your state of being determines the thoughts that are going to circulate you. And those thoughts lead to actions. So you start to be, again, you put yourself in a space. That's the emotion. The state of being you're in is the space you travel to as a spirit. From that space, there's only a certain amount of thoughts in that space. Now, we are representations of all possibilities, aka God. But a lot of times, based upon our feelings, we start to convince ourselves that we can only belong in one space. And when you revert into a child, you become childish with your spirit. You're a childish spirit. You become childish with your mind. So your mind stops understanding that you even have the ability to change, and it stops being even aware of anything outside of what it feels. And this is when people become demons. This is when people become agents. This is where you start to head down the track of manifesting bad situations in your life, just based upon you not taking authority of your mind. All of a sudden, you are letting these emotional bodies define you. Now you're identifying with these feelings. And once you start identifying with these feelings, you start picking thoughts like fruit. And this is like, you could look at this as the allegory of the Garden of Eden. Now you're picking fruit that God told you not to pick. So all possibilities was like, that's not what you're supposed to pick. You just in your feelings right now. Why are you reaching for that fruit? Why are you taking that bite? And you just eating and eating and eating. All of a sudden, these things you're ingesting, these are thoughts that you're starting to identify with. Your humanity. You know what I'm saying? You starting to identify with these thoughts. You think these thoughts are you. Now you are locked into that until you figure yourself out. Because that's the thing too with left brain energy. So it starts with right brain energy as far as the reaction to feeling. But once you get lost in the feeling, look at it like this. It's like falling into some water, right? But once you fall into that water, the thoughts, think of thoughts in air as like cold. So you add a bunch of thoughts and then think of earth being like dry but solidified. You start to take all those thoughts and stuff like that from the left brain, and it creates almost like a layer of ice. And depending on how deep you let or how rampant you let those thoughts get, that's how thick that ice is. That's how thick that surface is. Now you become crystallized within that until you figure a way out of that. And figuring a way out is you unpacking your mind, unpacking your feelings, and then going and seeing, okay, this feeling led me here. This is like basically you backtracking to find your way out of that predicament. You know, I think it'd be better to talk about it as a cave. And it's like the cave started with you just going into some water. But as you went deeper in, it was like, okay, you found dry land and stuff like that. But you just got deeper and deeper in. But it became harder and harder for you to figure yourself out, figure a way out of that. And it's like, this is what happens with us in our emotional bodies. Then we let our thoughts go rampant. And then before we know it, we're so deep into a way of thinking that it becomes a pattern. And that pattern becomes our only idea of how to live. And until, again, you can only take yourself out of that until you either figure it out or you as a spirit decide that you're going to destroy it. You know what I'm saying? But that's the thing. We always need something to cling to. We always need something to fulfill. This is why people who have a hard time with religion, right? It's hard for them to get off of that shit because they don't feel like they have anything to go into. They don't feel like they have anything to start to base life off of. So it becomes very scary to be out here naked spiritually, not have a system to cling to or not have a way of thinking. You know what I'm saying? It's like all these different things, they start to affect us, and they start to, put you in certain spaces that just, again, really start to make it more difficult for you to be on your path and do what you're supposed to do. Now, that was a huge tangent, but my point in all this is just to say, so when we come to this, right, Uranus being in Taurus, the whole idea of it was you and your uniqueness being the most valuable resource here. Now, Pluto being in Aquarius, community is the key. This is a square. The whole idea is that you on your own individual journey, 4 years into Uranus and Taurus, you should have some value about your individuality. There should be something about you as an individual that okay, this is actually valuable. Even if you can't place it in words, it's not so much about that, but it's knowing about what you have to offer to the world inside and what you have been putting in action as far as trying to, again, think of the things that you've been most consistent on as far as your unique talents and gifts, or just the things that make you and the things you've been most consistent on. Again, it's highly dependent on whether or not you've been actually participating in this energy, because if you haven't been finding unique ways to you as far as things you could do to gain stability, if you haven't been taking it upon yourself as an individual to create a fixated way of thinking and being practical about the world you're in. Especially, again, look at the house, because that'll determine where this energy is coming from. Because if it's in the first house, this is you having a uniqueness about your personality, and that uniqueness is supplied or fueled by your values, and that creates a independent uh ground and foundation that you can stand on when it comes to your personal life. And again, Uranus and Taurus, yeah, it's all about stability and things of that nature, but that comes in many different forms, you know what I'm saying? Because you can be stable as an individual, like from the first house perspective, you having that, you going through the trials and tribulations of creating individuality there, it will lead you to a space in which, again, you're able to structure your life, or you're able to create, plant the right seeds in your life, or establish the right foundation in your life to be stable. You know what I'm saying? Whether that looks like money, you know what I'm saying? Because it's kind of like how astrology works. It don't be so black and white. It'd be a lot of, because you could look at it like, again, it was like a certain way you was expressing your personality, or certain way that you were, again, being an individual within your personal life, right? That granted you access to a certain possibility. Like I said, God is really just all possibilities. So you being true to yourself is what opened the door to that. But you aligning yourself with the transits made it possible in this reality to experience what you wanted to. And this is where intention comes in. This is where you being a magician comes in, because you are able to understand as a spirit the whole picture. You're now the adult, the spiritual authority in the room, not just the child, aka I feel like, in your feelings, only reacting and only can see what's right in front of you, aka you can only see what this life had. Like, again, you going through a tough time, you can only see that tough time. There's no foresight into a better time. There's no inspiration to do something outside of what you've seen done time and time again. You know what I'm saying? And you look at the common person who falls for the same shit, again, can't even peep the fact that we're going through a shift. They're going to be the first ones to make decisions now that are going to cause them a lot of bullshit later. And some people are naturally, again, some people get lucky, and it's not so much luck, it's just the way they know how to use their energy. They end up putting themselves in positions that's a lot better than others, because it's not about now that I know astrology, I'm gonna be perfect. Because again, you can know everything about astrology and still be fucking up, just based upon your spirit and how it's operating. You don't have the right perspective. You're not participating, because it's not about what, it's about how. So how you go about it. And that's the most important part. And some people are just born naturally knowing how to do it for them. Other people have to learn. Other people go through trials and tribulations. Some people, I'm not going to say never get it, but it's only something that you can get if you put it into practice. You know what I'm saying? So knowing yourself, you're always going to catch dubs. But, look at the percentage. Do you catch more dubs than L's, or vice versa? And then that'll let you know kind of where you are in this. Because when you get to a certain point, it's like you should be able to live life and enjoy that motherfucker, and be able to, again, have a certain level of gratitude. Really, you should already have a certain level of gratitude, but it's certain vibrations that we should frequent if we want to actually well, I'm not gonna say that, because everybody got their own shit to vibrate on. So, but gratitude is a good one, because gratitude puts you in that space where no matter what, you can find something to appreciate. Because that's the thing about this magic shit. It's like whatever you put into practice, that becomes the truth. So you gotta see yourself and be like, if you find yourself being a more negative person, you gotta see why that is true. You know what I'm saying? What do you participate in? What spaces do you be in that contribute to that? If you manifest a certain result, you got to be aware of, damn, if I don't like this result, I must need to do different things with my actions. And the actions start before the physical. They start mental and emotional. You know what I'm saying? Because certain feelings will lead you, again, feeling leads you to a thought. That thought leads you to an action. And then a lot of times, but people are so reversed that they see it the other way. People are reactive, so they act first, and then they think about it, and then they feel about it. And the problem with that is you're just living life backwards. You don't have any real control over your life, but people do that to gain control, because people feel like if I react, you know what I'm saying, and sometimes that might not even be the thought on their mind, but again, you relinquish all control when you are just reactive. And see, on again, that's a personal scale, but on a macro scale, as a society, this is why things are the way they are, because people are so reactionary and not proactive, and not aware of shout out to ZMD, they're not aware of anything outside of what's going on in that very moment. They don't have the foresight, because again, and going back to the conversation me and Free was having, but it's just like, again, like I was saying in that timestamp, y'all caught up on the story. Fuck the story. What's the theme behind it? What is actually being taken away? Because going back to Hillary and them emails, people was looking for the antagonist. Oh, she's a bad person. She did this. They was looking at what the emails was about. Oh, is it people was coming up with all the, but it's like you missed the point. The point is, they were saying because she did this, they're basically looking at y'all saying, wouldn't it be cool if we could invade her privacy? And shouldn't we make it a law to invade everybody's privacy if this is what's going to be the result? And people were so fueled by the story. Yeah, hell yeah. Not realizing, y'all, this is why, again, they don't give a fuck about them emails. She didn't even, y'all might think she got in trouble, but that tell you where people minds at. Because that's a very childish perspective, right? To only be concerned about who finna get in trouble, but not understanding what's actually being taken away or given or put in place to get that done. They want you emotional to rally behind. Everybody was more concerned about punishing her than they was keeping their information protected, aka being like, you know what, she might have did that, but I don't want y'all niggas to that don't mean y'all should go in everybody's emails. Y'all don't mean y'all should invade everybody's privacy. And same thing with the restrict bill. You know what I'm saying? They're hyping you up with the story of, oh, China and them are trying to create their own currency. Man, fuck, and I'm not saying fuck the people of China. I'm saying fuck that story, because it don't fucking matter. What matters is they're trying to put certain things in place, right? Because they got everybody into the drama of different countries, digital currencies, and what that's going to mean. That don't even matter. What matters is, look at what's actually happening. Putting restrictions on internet use, putting ways of of espionage. That's not what it is. That's like spying on people, but like putting surveillance, that's what it is, on devices to prevent, again, to monitor internet use. These are all regulations to start to control and regulate the thing that they've had the most difficulty trying to regulate and control, right? And then certain things like they throw out at you are just to get y'all to basically check the temperature. I'm gonna throw out, this new digital currency, the idea of a digital currency. That shit ain't coming tomorrow. That shit, some shit they threw out to make y'all sniff it. Same thing with AI and shit like that. And it's so crazy with AI, because at this point they can create anything that can make it sound like, I mean, think about it, man. All the data that niggas been collecting for these last centuries, all of it, the filters and stuff like that, face recognition, all that stuff, things that, again, were inevitable, because you could be way wise and aware and be like, man, I'm not doing that. You probably fight it for a good time, but the truth of the matter is, one way or another, they got it. And so the whole idea is not to be afraid, though. The idea is to understand just where your power lies. Your power lies in understanding and being aware of what's going on, and then also being proactive. So like I was saying, again, these communities in person, this is where the key is. Because the key is, if all of us in the same subconscious community is in a location where we can communicate, because that's the whole thing. It's like we still gonna be spread out, probably, right? We gonna be global, But the whole idea is we probably need to be putting together these sub communities, together where, and I'm probably speaking a little too much about, real stuff, but it's just the idea of, think about Pluto and Aquarius. The way in which they would take power control over us is if we stop communicating, as if we stop organizing and creating, again, these communities. And see, this is why Uranus and Taurus has been so important, because during this time, this has been an energy of separating the wolves from the sheep. Who is, and wolves and sheep, that's probably not the best way, but I think it is actually. Matter of fact, no, it's the perfect example, because the wolves are those individuals who are aware, who are aware of what's going on, and who are strong enough to actually put the systems in place to make it realistic for anything real to be built. The wolves are the individuals who stood out as individuals. And that alone, again, that was what the value was in. Like, the value was in your ability to really stand on your own, and to whatever it is. Because again, you being a wolf, it's simply you being aware, you having the awareness. Or if you, again, going so far as to be like, if you was the individual choosing to get up and do stuff. Because that's the thing, man. You might be a person right now on IG, only get 20 views, on YouTube only get 10, 15 views, but you putting that energy and deciding to get up off your ass and say, you know what, this is what I want to do, though, as an individual, this is what I'm on. That alone is a strong enough frequency to, again, separate you. And there's a great chance you're probably aware of the shift going on, and you know what decisions you need to make in the present day that's going to reverberate to you actually manifesting what it is that you see for yourself, right? The sheep is the old individuals who just can't see it, aren't even aware of it, wouldn't be able to put their finger on it today, tomorrow, same day, doesn't matter, until 10 years down the line they're like, damn, back in 2023 I actually should have did more. Or I damn, I didn't even peep the fact that, because you see it all the time where people who didn't catch shifts years ago right now are the ones looking crazy, though, or the ones who's like, oh man, like trying to catch up, and worried and panicked, and again, they're so concerned about things that they're late on that they don't even peep that we're going through the same thing again. We're going through another infrastructure change, another shift on a spiritual or energetic level, wherever you want to say, and then we in the top of a new year, and this is that year where, again, they're going to be playing that Pluto hand. And that's where kind of the square comes in too, because it's like you being an individual is what has been, basically look at that as your bank. So if you have, if you've been really doing what is true to you, and you, again, on some Uranus shit, actually going out and doing the things in real life that you see for yourself, and part of your plan, part of your vision, if you've been taking the initiative on those things, whether you get praise or recognition from it or not, because it's not so much about praise, it's in Taurus. But if you've been consistent enough on it, as far as just every day contributing the right energy to it, paying attention to it, boom, 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 then there's a great chance that even now you actually have something of value. The question is just learning how to ingratiate it, or integrate it. I don't know which word I'm trying to use. Integrate it. Just right now, it's just that square is just learning how to integrate that unique value to your network, to your associations. Figure out how to communicate that in a way in which you can get the point across, but still, again, maintain a foundation, and how that foundation can contribute with other people's foundations. Because that's the thing. That's what we need. We need real individuals, real spirits, strong spirits coming together and building things together. And again, that's going to cause friction, that's going to cause learning, but that's the whole thing. That square, working that out, because going through that little bit of difficulty is what's going to set us up and protect us for when, again, these things are heavily regulated, just like how they did with certain things in real life. You know what I'm saying? The airports or whatever, travel, things like that. You saw how strict they be and it's not even so much about them trying to be strict, but the idea is just like, you see how, again, just imagine a regulated internet. Imagine like, and it's like people don't want to give up and change. People don't want to change, and that's the thing too. Uranus and Taurus is forced us to change the things that we've been stuck on, the concepts that we've been stubborn on, that we know we just can't uphold anymore. That's why everything has just been getting knocked down, and there's just nothing left for you to cling to. And even if and again, oh man, bless the soul that thinks that they are able to cling to something now, because they're in for a rude awakening for the next, as this year plays out. Because even for, we can slow it down and just say in 6 months, or when we have a new moon in Scorpio, we're going to be able to see a lot of what these seeds that we're planting now set for ourselves. But yeah, like I said, these are multi-year transits, because even with Pluto's going to be in Aquarius for a good little minute. And that is going to be the time, like, how we say this, the age of Aquarius, age of information. Look at this as information is going through a death period. Right now, it's too much information. So, whenever it's a situation where it's just too much of something, you're going to see the bounce back. And that's kind of what I've been looking for as well, because even when we talk about the age of Aquarius, like I was kind of explaining how, the internet culture now, everybody is kind of in their Leo energy. And the reason is because they're trying to express themselves in a way in which they can carve out their unique and find their unique people, find their unique crowd that they can create a foundation or a platform, foundation with a platform for. And then from that, they're trying to see how to organize and communicate, again, spreading their information to their network, to their platform. And so there's a lot of that going on, where even now, like, but it's just so much of that, to the point where it's just like everybody got a platform now. And what happens is, when you do look at the government, government and shit like that, and how they looking at shit, it's just, they're trying to put a lot of these things, 'cause again, for a while they could just throw puppets and, again, take this influencer, give them a certain amount of money, have them doing certain things. But you got to look at it too, like, they don't know everything, so they make mistakes as well. And they also go through changes and phases, where, like, the realistic thing is that there's too many people now who is speaking their mind, who's going on these platforms. There's too many folks now, to where it's like they really can't regulate it unless they create some kind of offshoot, where, again, and also a way to punish people. Because if everything is digital, they can punish people through cutting things off. They can punish people through technology. And with AI and things of that nature, I mean, it's going to be so, I mean, like, in the most extreme cases, it's going to be highly regulated. But see, these realities, we don't need to scare ourselves into manifesting that shit. Like, honestly, we got a while before any wild shit like that happens. So it's like, and it's not about trying to, like, see, like, whether or not that is, like, don't be so worried about whether or not that's going to manifest. What you need to focus on now, again, on a spiritual, or on a mission level, community. So whatever community you with, subconscious community, even here, I'm trying to get better with communicating with y'all, connecting with y'all, because that's the thing. If y'all resonate with me, and we start to get some real conversations going, and we can build from there, let's do that. You know what I'm saying? The people I collab with, again, we can continue making art, creating music, creating films and stuff like that. But, like, let's come together. And shout out to, like if y'all haven't, I've been putting in my link, I gotta let y'all know that the 717 conference, this is a conference for spirituality, astrology. We doing open panels where we're talking about relationships, and we're talking about astrology. This is a conference for, again, soul group, subconscious community. Come together, share minds, let's build. You know what I'm saying? Let's actually get in person, and let's start establishing these real relationships and connections with each other, so that, again, like I said, we can start to actually make movements to change the world. We can, you know what I'm saying? Because all it takes is our minds coming together and putting together a way of going about life that no one has ever seen before. And, it don't got to be, it's not overcomplicated. It's us actually just applying real, being real spirits together. You know what I'm saying? Doing real things together. But in real things, to make it more specific, is just us, like how I talk, like, you know what I'm saying, how I'm speaking and stuff like that, like us putting our minds together in that way, not in a way in which we're envious and we're trying to destroy one another, or we're, again, hungry and can't feed ourselves, and so we trying to rob and steal. It's like we are looking to establish a system in which, again, we can all just be ourselves together, and we can and again, I don't want to get too much into the utopia talk, because that's not even what I'm trying to get at. The kumbaya shit is not what I mean. It's deeper than that. And to talk about it for real, how it is, one, I don't think I should be online, and two, because that kind of ruins experiences as well, and two, because to talk about it, if I was to, it would take, it couldn't be done in one video, because this is deep shit. You know what I'm saying? But it's just a lot of things in the world that need to change. And right now, I'm just pointing out, again, I'm just hammering home the fact that you have to separate yourself from the sensationalism of what you seeing on, even online now. I can't just say the news, but it's even Twitter and shit like that, because people will be so caught up in who's who, what's what, what's the drama, what's the tea, what's this, what's that. And that shit don't even matter. What mattered was, what are they trying to enforce, regulate, or normalize, or push through the themes of that shit. Because again, the story itself might be tragic, like the school shootings. It's tragic. It's fucked up. But we also have to be able to see what the theme was, and what's potentially about to be regulated. Because now it's like, you know what I'm saying, they incite, because you got to be able to see all different angles of stuff. And they, again, like I said, they not perfect, they trying shit out too. So you got to be able to see what they doing. Oh, okay, they trying that out, and whether it works or not based upon the reaction. And what happens is people just get so swept up emotionally that they can't make a sound decision. They can't really make up their mind. And that's what it comes down to as well. It's like making up your mind, deciding for yourself who you gonna be, what you want to do, and sticking to that. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gotta be naive and stubborn, but you do gotta be somewhat consistent. But yeah, that's the biggest thing, man. Like I said, I ain't had no real topic. I was just kind of, I had a lot to say, and I wanted to just get it out, because right now it's just it's shift time. So again, this transit and us going through eclipse season, this is all about, everything we're experiencing is trying to get us closer to that higher self. But don't look at it like it's something outside of you or separate from you. You are your higher self. You just have to make the decisions to act on those higher frequency thoughts. The things you have to work to put yourself in a higher frequency vibration, aka choosing for yourself what spaces you finna be in, and choosing what actions are necessary to carry out the manifestation of, or carry out the representation of where you want to be. So you have to, again, take accountability for yourself and make those moves yourself. You know what I'm saying? Even if it's a little difficult, especially if you're unsure, especially if you're a little scared, if you're a lot of scared, especially if you are terrified. You need to be making these moves, because what we choose to do now with our time and energy and attention is what's going to reverberate for the next X amount of years. And there's no way around that. That's what we dealing with. You know what I'm saying? So you need to be ahead of the game, and be making those movements, making those adjustments, because the last thing you want to do is allow yourself to they got the dogs out. But yeah, last thing you want to do is not catch what's going on and not make these changes, because there's so many subtle changes that you probably need to make right now, that you need to make, that again are keeping you from playing your role. Because like I said before too, with Pluto and Aquarius, it's like everybody got a role to play, and you can't be looking at somebody else's role and wishing you had that. You can't be looking at your role in disappointment and like, oh, I don't like that. It's like you need to appreciate, you know what I'm saying, and value your own unique role in this. And that's a bit of what Venus and Taurus was all about too. Venus is in Gemini now, but us going through Taurus season, we're going to be paying attention to that. And that's kind of what we need to have our mind on and what we need to be working towards. It's just being, again, taking, being real, seeing the value in our own uniqueness, because that's the powerful resources, uniqueness and attention. And that's the thing. They're sensationalizing you and putting you in a bunch of different spaces because they just want your attention. Because they know, okay, if everyone's attention is online, we need to regulate online and we need to make that look like whatever our thoughts are. So that's how they thinking. So you got to look at yourself and be like, okay, well, am I strong enough to watch TV and still do my thing? Because that's the thing. If you're an adult, you should be able to watch TV, but peep the fact that, hey, these are actors, this is a show, and I need to turn it off when I need to turn it off. You know what I'm saying? It's cool to watch just to know what's going on and to enjoy entertainment. But when I am ready to get busy, which needs to be, again, frequent, I know I could turn it off and not give a single, you know what I'm saying? Not be devastated. You know what I'm saying? I know I could turn it off and do what I need to do, because that's the thing too. Some people just don't know how to turn it off. Or even if they got it on, they don't know how to still stay focused. Like, you know what I'm saying? You an adult. Yeah, you can, again, and like I was saying early in the video, yeah, if you want to wake up, first thing you want to do is check Twitter, fine. But have your own mind. Because if you got a strong enough mind, you can do whatever you want. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how it works. You an adult, you do what you want. If you could maintain that lifestyle, but you have to be real with yourself too. Because some people do need to, you need to turn that phone off. Because you turn that phone off, and again, next thing you know, it's 3 p.m. You can get out of bed. It's 3 p.m. You know what I'm saying? You didn't do nothing that you said you wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? So if you live in a life like that where you know you need to make adjustments and changes, then by all means. But for the most part, it's like, you know, it's not so much about, like I said before, trying to be all. It's about, because a lot of people can do all that. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people can do that. Oh, I meditate all day, but still be shitty people. Still don't be really about what they say. Don't really do what they supposed to do here. So yeah, it's just many different factors, you know what I'm saying? But like I said, I just want to come on here and just talk and shit like that. I'm trying to that's kind of the next I'm not gonna say the next goal, but that's where we headed. You know what I'm saying? I'm building this channel out, or I guess I could say we, because y'all here too. So we building this channel out. Y'all keep liking, keep sharing, keep subscribing. Shout out to y'all. Thank y'all, especially all the new people who sub last few videos. Like, it's always awesome to see new people and shit like that. So, shout out to y'all. We building this group. I'm gonna start going live and shit. And I mean, I kind of I have my times. You know what I'm saying? I go live on IG, but I'm gonna start, going live on YouTube. And like I said, we just continue to expand. And I want to see y'all in the comments. I want to just do a lot more organizing. Also in the description is going to be 717 conference tickets going on sale May 1st. It's going to be in Atlanta. And it's going to be July 15th. So right now I'm giving y'all those details. Just know May 1st. Y'all will see a video saying, tickets are on sale. But I'm just saying, if y'all interested also in any way, y'all want to be involved, y'all want to attend, go ahead, email 717conference.info@gmail.com, and then we'll get you, as much information as we can. But that's the plan. July 15th, 717 conference. Tickets go on sale May 1st, Atlanta, Georgia, about 15 minutes away from the airport. So, you know what I'm saying? So if you're trying to figure out accommodations and shit like that, just know, say literally, the heart of Atlanta, you know what I'm saying? You'll be straight. But yeah, that's what's going down. Other than that, man, I guess I'll catch you on the next one. Peace. Much love.